With the walls and roof in place, the builders turned their focus to what would meet every step inside: the floor. On top of the raised platform, sturdy joists were laid across, each measured with care, each leveled to perfection. Over these joists, planks of solid wood were fixed, their grain glowing beneath the soft light that entered through the windows. Walking across them gave the first sense of permanence. No longer were they stepping on temporary scaffolds or raw beams. This was the ground of a home, smooth beneath boots, resonant beneath hammers, soon to be softened by rugs, warmed by firelight, and creaking softly under years of footsteps. The scent of fresh-cut wood filled the air, mixing with pine resin drifting in through the open door. Every breath carried the feeling of progress. If you can almost smell that fresh wood through the screen, hit the like button right now. Let's see how many people love that scent of a new build. As insulation held tight between beams, the interior walls took shape. Sheets of plywood or panels of tongue-and-groove boards were lifted and nailed into place. Each panel turned open space into enclosure, echo into quiet. The loft was finished with railing, ensuring safety while preserving openness. Down below, the kitchen wall was marked, the bathroom corner secured. Light filtered through windows, bouncing warmly across the wood grain, making every corner glow with amber tones. Here the builders paused often, not because of fatigue, but because vision was finally becoming reality. You could stand in the kitchen and see where the stove might stand. You could step into the loft and picture a bed beneath the sloping roof. You could sit by the wide window and imagine watching snowfall while wrapped in a blanket. The A-frame was no longer just a structure, it was becoming a home. Quick question for you, what would you put inside first? A fireplace, a cozy couch, or a long wooden table? Drop your answer in the comments, I want to know your style. Outside, attention turned to cladding. The forest itself inspired the choice. Natural wood siding was selected, stained to resist, whether yet warm enough to merge with the trunks surrounding it. Piece by piece, the siding wrapped the A-frame like a coat. Its triangular shape now stood proud, but not defiant. Instead, it looked as though it had grown here, a wooden sibling among the trees. Every nail tapped into place, every board aligned, every angle cut to match the sharp slopes. It was all precision, but also artistry, because building in the forest is not about domination. It is about harmony. The home had to belong here. And with each board, it did. If you know someone who dreams of a cabin or tiny house in the woods, share this video with them. They'll thank you later for the inspiration. The builders knew the house was only truly alive once warmth filled its walls. Inside, a small wood stove was placed, its chimney rising through the roof, sealed tightly against leaks. When the first fire was lit, the crackle of flames echoed against fresh wood. Smoke curled gently upward, carrying with it the scent of pine and promise. Heat spread slowly at first, then filled every corner. The glass windows fogged slightly with the contrast of cold outside and warmth within. That was the moment the A-frame became more than timber and nails. It became shelter, it became comfort, it became home. If this moment gave you chills, in a good way, make sure you're subscribed, because the next builds and stories will only get better. Curtains hung, shelves fitted, furniture carried in piece by piece. A bed in the loft, a chair by the wide glass, a small table for meals shared. Each addition was not just decoration, but definition. The home's triangular walls now echoed with laughter, footsteps, quiet conversation, and silence that felt chosen rather than empty. Outside, the forest continued its life, wind bending branches, rain dripping from leaves. But inside, the A-frame stood steady, a warm refuge glowing softly in the wild. And so, what began as an untouched patch of land had become a home. The A-frame rose in 3 months, but its story is just beginning. As seasons change, snow will test its roof, storms will challenge its walls, and summer breezes will cool its loft. This home will live, grow, and witness. And you, yes, you watching, have been here since the beginning. You saw the foundation dug, the beams lifted, the walls enclosed, the first fire lit. So here's your call. If you haven't already, subscribe right now so you can follow every new build, every new adventure, every moment of creation we bring to life. Leave a comment about your dream build, drop a like if this inspired you, and share it with someone who needs to see what's possible when vision meets determination. The forest has accepted its new neighbor, and this A-frame, born from sweat and timber, now stands as proof. From silence, something beautiful can rise. With the skeleton of the A-frame standing proud against the sky, the builders turn their attention to the roof. In a structure like this, the roof is the house. Its sharp angles not only give the dwelling its identity, but also serve as its armor, guarding against snow, rain, and wind. First came the sheathing, broad sheets of plywood carefully cut and lifted high, each piece nailed into place against the rafters. The sound of the hammer echoed through the forest like a drumbeat, steady and deliberate. Each strike fixed the house more firmly into reality. Over the sheathing, a waterproof membrane was stretched, protecting against the relentless cycles of wet and dry, thaw and freeze. This thin, dark layer might not look impressive, but without it, every storm would be an enemy. With it, the house could breathe easy, shielded beneath its skin. Metal roofing panels, chosen for durability, glinted in the sunlight as they were aligned and screwed into place. Their ridges caught the light, their surfaces ready to shed snow like the back of a mountain animal. The A-frame was no longer just a frame, it was becoming a shelter. If watching this transformation inspires you, go ahead and hit the like button, because every bit of support keeps builds like this alive and lets more people see what's possible in the wild. A home without windows is a box, but here, in the middle of a forest, windows are the eyes that connect human life with the living world outside. Large triangular windows were planned into the very face of the A-frame, stretching upward to meet the roofline. Imagine standing inside and looking out, the forest floor below, the canopy above, and the endless sky framed perfectly by the glass. Cutting into the sheathing, the builders carved openings for each window. Sawdust fell like golden snow in the morning light. Frames were set, sealed tight, and panes of glass lifted carefully into place. For a moment, the forest reflected back at itself, trees mirrored in the clean surface before the inside claimed the view. Smaller windows were added on the sides, some to catch the morning sun, others to invite in cross breezes on summer days. Each was placed with purpose, not random, not accidental. Together, they made the house breathe with its surroundings. Tell me in the comments, if you could look out of one window every morning, what would you want to see? Sunrise over trees or sunset fading into night? No home is complete without a door, the point where outside becomes inside, where wilderness meets shelter. Choosing where to place the entrance was not simple. The builders considered paths through the forest, how footsteps would naturally approach, how rain might fall, how snow might drift. At last, a place was chosen, and the frame was cut. Strong posts went in, a lintel across the top, and the first doorway opened like an invitation. Standing there, you could feel the shift. This was no longer just construction. This was a home beginning to claim its place. When the door finally swung on its hinges, it creaked softly, like the forest itself acknowledging the new presence. For the first time, stepping inside felt different, protected, defined, a clear line drawn between wild and domestic. If you've ever dreamed of building your own place in the woods, even something small, share this video with a friend who shares that dream. You never know, you might inspire them too. The forest can be harsh. Winters bite with icy winds, summers blaze with heat, and rains can chill the bones. A house built here must not only stand, it must keep its people warm, safe, and comfortable. So the builders turned to insulation. Between every angled beam, sheets of thick material were fitted snugly. Fiberglass, foam, or natural fibers, the choice mattered less than the care with which they were placed. Gaps were the enemy, precision was the ally. A vapor barrier was laid, invisible but critical, stopping moisture from sneaking inside and rotting the wood. Each staple, each strip of tape pressed down, was another promise that the warmth of a fire would stay trapped inside, that no storm could steal it away. For the first time, standing inside felt different. The echo of empty wood softened, the air held warmth, the silence was no longer cold, it was calm. If details like this make you appreciate the hidden effort behind a home, drop a like right now. It lets me know you're enjoying the journey as much as I am sharing it. Until now, the A-frame was one vast triangle, but a home is not just shape, it is rooms, corners, and paths. Inside, studs were raised to form walls, partitions dividing the open air into spaces with purpose. A kitchen here, a loft there, storage tucked neatly beneath the slope. Each new stud, though small compared to the giant rafters, added intimacy. Suddenly, you could imagine standing in a room, setting a chair by a window, reaching for a cup on a future shelf. The loft especially gave the A-frame its soul. A wooden ladder or staircase leading upward, a platform beneath the peak, a place to sleep where morning light would pour directly onto pillows. The dream of waking up high among the beams was now a physical reality taking shape before the builder's eyes. Which would you choose? A wide-open A-frame with one giant space, or cozy lofts tucked into the angles? Leave your answer in the comments. I want to see what kind of home you'd imagine. By this stage, the A-frame had grown from a skeleton into a real house. Its roof gleamed against the sky, its windows opened to the forest, its insulation promised warmth, and its interior began to define how life would flow within. But the work was far from over. Floors needed to be finished, walls paneled, details refined. The house was no longer just surviving in the forest, it was beginning to belong. Don't forget, subscribe right now so you don't miss the final stage of this journey, where the finishing touches transform this house from a build site into a living, breathing home. The first light of day breaks across the dense canopy of towering pine and birch. A thin mist floats low across the undergrowth, carrying with it the cool breath of morning. The forest is alive with subtle sounds, the rustle of branches, the drip of dew falling from leaves, and the occasional call of a bird awakening in its nest. Here in this secluded wild, far from paved roads, far from electricity, far from the distractions of modern life, a vision is about to take form. It will not be easy, it will not be quick. But what you are about to witness is a transformation, raw land turning into a home, an empty clearing giving birth to an A-frame house, a dwelling shaped not only by tools and timber, but also by patience, persistence, and respect for the forest that surrounds it. If you're ready to follow this journey step by step, hit that subscribe button right now, because the story you're about to see is just the beginning, and trust me, you won't want to miss how it unfolds. Just 3 months ago, this space was untouched. The ground was tangled with roots, moss, and fallen branches. Shafts of sunlight pierced through gaps in the trees, but found no structure, no sign of habitation, only the quiet wilderness. Before the first tool could be lifted, the land itself had to be understood. Where does the ground slope? Where does the rainwater run after a storm? Which direction will the harshest winter winds arrive from? And most importantly, how will the sun trace its path across the sky, warming the home in cold months and giving light to its wide windows? The forest speaks if you listen, and in this case, the builders listened carefully. They mapped the terrain, marked the points where foundations could be strong, and selected the exact spot where their triangular dream would rise. And hey, if you enjoy seeing spaces transformed from raw wilderness into something extraordinary, give this video a like, because your support helps bring more of these builds to life. The first true step in raising a house is unseen when it is finished, the foundation. Without it, nothing else stands. In this forest, the soil is uneven, some areas hard with bedrock just below the surface, others soft and loamy where rain has gathered for centuries. Concrete footings were poured into the earth, set deep enough to hold steady through frost and storm. Each footing had to be aligned with precision because the entire structure would depend on them being square, level, and balanced. On top of these footings, beams were laid to form a raised platform. Why raised? Because the forest is damp. Rain comes often, and snow melts into long puddles in spring. By lifting the home above the ground, airflow is allowed beneath the floor, keeping it dry and free from rot. This single decision means decades of extra life for the house. Every stake hammered into the earth, every string line pulled tight, every bubble checked on the leveling tool. It may look like small details, but together they form the skeleton of trust. Trust that when storms rage, the home will not shift. Trust that when families gather inside, the ground beneath will hold them secure. Quick reminder, if you're fascinated by how even the hidden steps matter, drop a comment below and tell me, what's your favorite part of house building, foundation, or framing? I'd love to know. And then came the moment of magic, when the first great beams were lifted into place. Unlike other houses, where vertical walls stand straight and roofs are simply laid on top, the A-frame is unique. Its entire structure is shaped by angled beams that meet high above, forming a perfect triangle. Each beam was measured, cut, and carried into the clearing. The builders lifted them together, slowly, carefully, leaning them inward until they touched at the apex. One beam alone is nothing, it falls. But two beams, leaning against each other, become strength. Piece by piece, pair by pair, the skeleton rose out of the earth. Like the ribs of a giant creature, the beams curved upward, framing the air, turning empty space into a shape that could one day hold warmth, light, and laughter. The ridge beam was set, rafters were locked in, collars and braces added for stability. Every joint was checked twice, then 3 times, because the apex joint, the heart of the A-frame, defines everything. If it is misaligned, the entire house tilts. If it is perfect, the house stands proud and eternal. The beauty of this process is honesty. In an A-frame, there is no hiding. The beams you see are the walls. The slope you notice is the roof. Nothing wasted, nothing disguised. If you love watching raw timber rise into something extraordinary, don't forget to share this video with someone who appreciates craftsmanship. It helps more than you know. By the end of this stage, the once empty clearing was no longer the same. It now carried the outline of a home, a triangle of timber cutting through the sky. The forest, once silent, now echoed with the sounds of saws, hammers, and determination. This is only the beginning. Walls, roof, windows, insulation, each step will come, each adding another layer of life. But in this moment, the dream has taken its first visible breath. Stay tuned, because in the next section you'll see how the envelope closes in and how the forest truly begins to shelter the house. And of course, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the transformation as it continues.